Well, many people have argued that the exercises could be canceled or can be canceled or revised in exchange for security cooperation on the North Korean side. And generally, it's some type of arrangement whereby, North Korea will not conduct missile tests or nuclear tests, and the US and South Korea will not conduct their military training. So North Korea, China has also supported that. And they say, this is intimidating and shows hostile intent by South Korea and the US. And by canceling these exercises, then it will show benign intent, and then North Korea will reciprocate and enter into some type of restraint or arms control to limit and to reverse their missile and nuclear programs. So I think maybe that's a testable hypothesis. We've seen what's happened the past few years, but in my observation, looking at both the kind of abstract, statements, declarations, the orientation of the regime, the ideology, and all of that has not really changed at all. And then on the material side, what we see, the actions and activities, the North Koreans continue working on their programs. They work on their programs every day. So even though it might not be a very loud and visible action like a long-range missile test or something like that, they're working in their labs and their factories and their research institutes and working on these programs every day. And then, of course, they will trot out, the big ticket items or the big observable events like a missile test occasionally. So they can delay that during periods of diplomacy or what have you. But I think their intent has been clear, and they continue working on their program. Well, I think both administrations have, centered much of their national security policy on the alliance. They've both been supportive of the alliance. I think probably the main difference is the perceptions of the threat or North Korean threat. So many in the former Moon government probably viewed North Korea as more benign. And I think in the new Yoon government, they're a little bit more skeptical and fearful of North Korean capabilities and are willing to counter those North Korean WMD capabilities and asymmetric capabilities with greater alliance integration and cooperation with the US, the deployment of more robust forces, building up of South Korean forces, which is a continuation from the previous government. The South Korean defense industry and defense contractors are becoming quite adept and advanced. So in the conventional realm, South Korea is quite advanced and are building up their forces, but they don't have those nuclear capabilities that the US has. But the current administration is more willing to go out a little further on a limb to deploy more missile defense, for example, have defense cooperation with Japan, for example. I think that's where there's a major difference between the Yoon administration and the Moon administration. So I think we'll see more of these types of trilateral exercises, trilateral security cooperation, and a restoration of the kind of normal training cycle that we used to see about 4 or 5 years ago.